Elisa, it's broadcasting now and people can join starting now. Just a heads up. Yep.
Then we go back to the headshot.
Yep.
I'm like hanging out. How many people have been attending these, Melissa?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Melissa Stringfellow. I'm the Assistant Director of Campus Activities and Leadership here at CCU. We are really close to the year starting, and we're so excited for your students to be here on campus and for you to come help them move in. So we have decided to move all of our parent programming online, which you are aware of because you're here. So we are excited to give you some great information tonight about your students' resources and programs available on campus. So I would love to just start us off with a quick prayer, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Lord, we just thank you for today. We thank you that we are able, that with technology, we're able to still meet and do things like this online and still get the information out there. Lord, I thank you that we are able to do in-person instruction and have our students on campus and in our community this semester. I just pray that you continue to protect our campus and keep everyone safe and healthy. I pray that you will bless this session and that it will give all of the parents that we have with us tonight the information that they are hoping for. And I just pray that you will bless our time together. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, we have a couple of different offices tonight. First up, we have health and wellness, and then followed by that, we will have residence life. We do have a Q&A function, so as you think of questions, look at the bottom of your screen, submit a question, and we will answer all of those towards the end. But first, I'd like to introduce Dr. Elisa Shanks and Anita. They are from our counseling center and our health services, and they will give you some information about their offices.
Hi there, I'll start first. My name's Anita Leach. I'm the Director of Health Services, and I'm gonna help with the PowerPoint here. Dr. Shanks, can you move it to the next one for me? Or, here we go. Let me share my screen first so you know what I'm talking about. Or Dr. Shanks, did you want to share your screen and then we'll go from there?
I am sharing my screen, so the PowerPoint should be up and live.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Okay, thanks a lot. So we provide health services to the student, which are Christ-centered. So if they could come to us with in crisis, as sometimes they do, and sometimes we'll refer them to counseling too, but it's always Christ-centered. And then, so some of the services we provide, if you want to go to the next one, it's staffed with 2 nurse practitioners with the whole mind, body, spirit. And then some of the services that we provide, of course, are physicals, treatment of illness or injury. It'll be a little different with COVID this year. Currently we don't have COVID testing. We'll refer out for that. If they have a temp of over 100.4, we'll have them be seen someplace else. And all of the visits this time, which will be coming up, will be made online or by calling. We aren't able to do walk-in visits just because of the social distancing, the spacing, you know, everyone also, of course, everywhere has to wear a mask. And we are continually trying to update about that, and there might be some changes throughout the year that will possibly be able to test as well. We're just not quite sure how that's going to go yet, as everything's still in flux. But we do mono tests, strep tests. We can test their blood sugar. We can do a urinalysis. We also check for concussions. That's a biggie. The athletes, of course, will be followed through the athletic department. But typically this year, when they have a concussion, we're gonna have them follow up with counseling after, as I guess depression's pretty common after concussions. The nebulizer treatment, we're not able to do that this year due to the COVID, because of the spreading of the air molecules. So we aren't able to do those, but we can loan out crutches, allergy injections, travel consultations, and provide certain prescriptions where they're needed. We don't do narcotics, but we can certainly do antibiotics or Sometimes people need a small refill of something until they can see their primary care provider. I always say we're a great supplement to their primary care provider. We just can't be one because we're not there on holidays or on the weekends. And we usually try to leave, and this is in the other slides, 9 to 5. But, oh, I guess it's on there. And the cost for services is typically $10. And then all the follow-up is free. If somebody has a hardship, we don't charge them the $10, but the Tdap or the tetanus is $40. The meningococcal is $115. The TB test is $30. We're currently out of that right now. There was some reason there was a bit of a shortage for a little bit, so we will get that back. And then the flu vaccine, which we get 70 shots a year, and that's 20 apiece. And we do offer CPR and first aid classes throughout the year, and I believe those are usually around $25. And then, so again, with this one, either call or schedule online. We can make that work. We're doing the cleaning between the patients. Usually you have to have like a 10-minute buffer, but typically by the time we're done talking to the patients and getting the assessment, that cleaning time and waiting time for COVID reasons will be complete. And then I just called this just to make sure that it works. And so when we're not in the office, or for some reason, if we're busy and somebody can't get a hold of us, there's always this Ask a Nurse line option. It's free. It's through Centura. And then there's really tons of urgent cares around. These are just a few of the ones mentioned. At the closest ER is St. Anthony Central, maybe 5 minutes down the road. So we're pretty lucky to have that. Should we call 911? They're usually here within, I bet, maybe 3 to 5 minutes, depending on what building that we're in at the time. So this is just the National College Health Assessment. This is from 2018. I haven't updated it, but we'll go to the next slide here. So this is the general health of college students. Of course, this has changed due to COVID and people leaving early last year because of COVID, but typically a lot of what we see are the lists down here, excluding the back pain. We see a lot of allergies, sinus infections, UTIs, urinary tract infections, quite a few with asthma. Strep throat is huge, and that's it for that. And then I think this is close to the end of the slides here. Just some disease, injury, and prevention. But I think my time, somebody has said that I'm up with my time, so I'll end it with this. So with COVID, especially stress, anxiety, difficult sleeping, we work with health, the counseling services to deal with a lot of this. And apparently Dr. Shanks will know a lot more about this than I will, but COVID has increased the stress, anxiety, and likely sleep difficulties with this. So I will end here, and I welcome any questions, and I sure look forward to seeing your student, and we'll try to do the best to care for their needs and concerns as possible. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Anita. And for those of you, it might be a little bit confusing. Anita used my login. So that was Anita Leipsch, and I'm Elisa Shanks. And here we go. So I'm going to skip past the end of her presentation that we would normally give to you guys in person during Weekend of Welcome and end up right here. And here we go. So it says I've got my video going. I can't see myself. I'm trusting y'all can see me. And if not, we'll just listen. So mental health services here at CCU. So I am the Counseling Center Director. I'm full-time. We just hired an amazing 32-hour-a-week assistant director, Erin Cordova. And this, if you've seen me present it all this summer, this is my go-to starting off slide. First day of school, the kid's attached to the tree. First day of college, the mom is attached to the kids. So everything is changing for you and your student, who they live with, who they eat with, where they live, where they eat, academic demands, altitude for any of you non-mountain dwelling people, new schedule, different rules, new authority figures, new mentors, etc. I'm actually going to skip through this based on our time, but I am going to say that for those of you who are sending first kiddos to college, one of the things that's really important is the shift in that parent-child relationship, that you guys are moving from a consultant, from a role of, advisor, counselor, etc., and you are shifting into a consultant role. So this is when they have to ask for your support and advice, and you do not have the flexibility to just give it. You're shifting into a stage where it's more of an adult to adult connection. So this is a new time. So we at the Counseling Center are here to partner with you guys to support your student. We want to help set up your student to be healthy in college, address any current concerns about your students, support your student who's already been seeking counseling at home in finding the right provider during college. And in some cases, this may mean an off-campus referral. We want to provide community referrals for your student if we're not going to be able to serve them at the Counseling Center, and then respond to any mental health concerns that arise during the school year. So what support is available at the Counseling Center? We offer individual therapy, couples therapy. So if couples are having a hard time and just want some support, communication skills, etc. If they're looking at considering engagement, or they are engaged and they want some premarital support, or if they're married, we do have married student housing. So we do marriage therapy. We also offer groups, and I can promise you that this fall that we will probably have more than one grief and loss group based on what everyone has been going through this year. We do roommate mediations in support of residence life. We triage and support students in crisis, but we are not a crisis center. So we're happy to see them and help them get access to what they need, but we do not offer exclusive crisis services. We do substance abuse evals. We collaborate with the Life Direction Center regarding voluntary hardship medical withdrawals when they're connected to psychological struggles. And sometimes we suggest students get evaluated for medication. What we don't do at the Counseling Center is also equally important. So we do not prescribe medication. None of us are licensed medical doctors or psychiatric nurse practitioners, but there are times where we will suggest that students consider maybe an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety medication based on the life impact of their mental health concerns. We do not contact students unless they contact us. So moms and dads, if you're worried about your students, have them fill out the counseling request form that they can find on connectccu.com or .edu. And we do not break confidentiality. We do not report to people further up the organizational chart chain. We also do not report Title IX issues. We are one of the few places that is exempt from reporting. So Anita, her office in health services, our office in the Counseling Center, and then Pastor Dave are the only spaces on campus that are exempt from Title IX reporting. We do not provide counseling services outside of the Counseling Center. So if you see us in the dining hall or hanging out with people, we're just hanging out with people. We're not providing therapy in the dining hall. We also don't serve students who are going to need long-term weekly counseling. We're just not set up that way. And we don't engage in trauma-specific therapy. We refer out clients who need trauma work and support in overcoming difficult experiences. A word about medication. Some of our students are coming to CCU with current prescriptions for antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, ADHD meds, etc. It is important, and this is a developmental space for your kiddos, to help them be responsible for A, taking their medications as prescribed, and B, making sure that they have their refills available and coming to them. So they need a plan for refilling those prescriptions to avoid gaps, and sometimes those gaps are not healthy for them. So you guys might want to think about a mail order prescription plan, or having your student meet with a local physician who can refill their medication, or getting a 3-month supply and maybe refilling when they come home for Thanksgiving. Top 5 challenges for mental health in college are anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, eating disorders, and addictions. We do not treat addictions in the counseling center. We do substance abuse evals and referrals. And we are able to support working with some mild struggles with eating disorders. In fact, that's a huge passion area of mine. I'm actually an eating disorder specialist, but given the limitations of our services, we can do some eating disorder work. And then there's a lot of outstanding eating disorders professionals in Colorado. We also work to keep all of our students safe and reduce the suicidal thoughts and struggles that they're dealing with there. So if you want your student to be able to come in for counseling, have them go to Connect CCU and then click on Student Life. Right now, we're actually under Campus Ministries. I sent an email today so that we can have our own little buttons so people can find us if they don't know that we happen to be under Campus Ministries in the org chart. So that, and then resources. So quick grab a screenshot. These are some resources for you guys. Release My Grip, Hope for a Parent's Heart as Kids Leave the Nest and Learn to Fly. The Campus Cure is about mental health. That's not a Christian-based resource. Try Softer is an amazing, amazing resource for you, for your students, for your friends, for your partners. It just came out in January. I'm probably a third of the way through it. And what she has done is combine scripture and faith and neuroscience and attachment theory. So she is speaking my language. If I had written a book, this might have been it, but she beat me to it. So everybody read Try Softer. It's like a lovely dose of therapy just in one hardcover, softcover package. Also, there's Letting Go, A Parent's Guide to Understanding the College Years. All right, I spoke really fast, but I made it through my portion in my 10 minutes. So I'm going to stop screen sharing and we'll move on to Neil.
Perfect. Thank you, Elisa and Anita. So next, moving on, we have Neil Anderson, who's our Director of Residence Life here at CCU. Just as a reminder, if you do have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A function on Zoom and we will get to those after Neil's content. So, Neil.
Great, thanks, Melissa. And it's great to be on the same night with Dr. Shanks and Anita. Residence Life works really closely with the health services area and our counseling department. And so what you hear, it was intentional that they put us together tonight for this meeting. So my name is Neil Anderson. I serve as the director for Residence Life. And what I want to do for the next 15 minutes or so, give you an overview of our department and the ways that we are going to help serve and care for your student here this fall, which we're so excited we get to have them back on campus. We're so excited that they're moving in here shortly in just a week, because it's the students on campus that give all of our departments, but especially Residence Life, the energy to do what we do. And so let me give you an overview of the department, and a couple other things I'm going to hit on is just a quick snapshot of meal plans, RAs, the role of community development, how we partner with your students in that. Talk a little bit about first responders and our emergency protocol system. And then talk a little bit about what it's like to, how we help students through this conflict that they may experience in their first time living with new people, and the role Residence Life plays in navigating roommate situations and all that. So please, if there's any questions you can think of while I'm speaking, feel free to put that in the Q&A and we'll get to it at the end. So I'm talking to you, trying to picture myself in the pre-no classroom. I love to walk around and sort of connect with the parents. I'm trying to do that as best I can from my home today, and I have my notes here of what I would be doing in person. But what I want you to know is the people that you are leaving your children with, your son or your daughter, the Residence Life staff team that I know are incredible people. And we feel very, very privileged that we get the role to be so closely connected to their lives, to work with the RAs especially that help shape that floor experience. And so we recognize you're entrusting something very special to us. And I want you to know the people that get to do that I work with are incredible people. So our department is made up of 8 people. There's myself. We have an administrative assistant who you may talk with if you need to reach our department, Patty Prater. Our assistant director of Residence Life, that's Alyssa Morrow. She's often another person that you may contact or talk with in the office if you have any questions about meal plans for housing accommodations. She oversees all of the housing and meal plan selection, along with a lot of other things. And then we have 5 full-time resident directors. These are full-time staff that live on campus, which is a really unique job, in the residence halls that oversee the buildings we have and the teams, the RA team that we have in each of the buildings. These resident directors, we have some have been here a couple years, we have some that have been here a long time, 5+ years, and all of them come to this unique job because they have a heart to care for and shepherd and disciple and educate students, and they're excellent at it. The underneath that team, underneath the RDs, is the RA team, and the RA team is 45 different students, often sophomores and juniors, who are spread for the ratio is about 1 to 24. And then also we have 5 assistant resident directors. Those are often juniors or seniors who have been RAs that assist us in all our programming, assist the RA team and the RD. So just a little bit of the structure so you know who's here. My phone just, of course, shut off with my notes on it, but I've done this a number of times. I feel I can get through the main details. If you have any questions about the basics, the logistics, meal plans, housing, especially in this next week, please reach out to our Residence Life office. You can email reslife, ccureslife at ccu.edu. That's ccureslife@ccu.edu, and we'll respond to help you with those things. The other thing I want you to know about our team is they also play the role of first responder. And so we have 2 24/7 pieces that are always at work at campus. We have our security team, and they're always on 24/7, 365, always available to respond. Those phone numbers are in every apartment, on every magnet we put on every fridge. And then during the academic year, during normal class schedules, apart from just a short time over Christmas break, even in the summer, we have an RD on call. So one of our resident directors is always on the call, and that phone number is also posted in every apartment. In case there's a situation that's not necessarily a security issue or a life-threatening issue, we of course want people to call 911, but maybe something is escalated and there needs to be a professional staff person to respond immediately. That's part of the RD role. They will come to the situation and assess what needs to happen. Do they need to call an ambulance? Do they need to reach out to Dr. Shanks? Do they need to simply address it and it can be taken care of? But that's just another thing I want you to know, is that there's people, professional staff on campus always, 2 different departments to help make sure your students are safe. In terms of, I'm going to shift gears a little bit to, so why CCU, why Res Life? And you've made that decision already, but if I was talking to prospective students, I'd say, you know, something unique is our community. And I want you to know how that actually plays out. And I'm in the middle of RA training right now. So we have these very eager and excited leaders, student leaders, who are preparing to help shape that community experience. They do that through floor programming. Every semester, there's 6 official programs and RA plans in the fall and the spring, things that are designed to connect the floor together, to lead the floor through some type of educational experience, to grow, to encounter something new and different, and to have fun. We want our students in our residence halls to have fun. And the RA is in charge of facilitating that. In addition, the RA is really a point person who most likely will be the person your son or daughter goes and seeks out, that actually connects with them. They're there, I don't want to say 24/7, they're a student also, but they're there because they want to be available to your students, help support them. The other thing that we always are teaching our RAs is, while we have them as point people for helping to create that atmosphere, make it a safe environment, a healthy environment, look out for facilities issues and make sure our students have what they need, they're also there to help encourage students to participate in the community. And so community is not just something CCU is building and then offering your student. I tell all the students in our first meeting, especially the freshmen, that the community experience is really what you also bring. We need your student to help shape the community here. We need that input and that perspective. It's not just something we can manufacture. And so community is a mutual experience where us as the university and Residence Life are seeking to help lead in that. But students it's the student culture that really sets the tone. And so I'm excited that we have new 400 plus new people coming to help shape the community experience here at CCU. It's a big part of why I believe students are choosing to come back to Colorado Christian University. My phone has turned on miraculously. And of course, this is what we're doing. We're navigating technical issues in the middle of COVID, and we're being flexible. Let's see here. Roommates. This is a big part. So potentially this will be the first time either your son or daughter or a person they're living with has the first time they've had a roommate. I wasn't so lucky. I had roommates my whole life. I grew up in a family of all boys, and I just never got my own room. So adjusting to college was not as big of a transition for me, but I had roommates that was their first time. One of the unique things we do in residence life is we require every apartment to sign a roommate contract. And yes, what is that? It's essentially a contract that we let the students come up with, where we give an outline and prompts for the apartment to sit down in that first week of school and talk through expectations, hopes, and to learn how to make sure those things, and even though it's never perfect the first time, at least we're prompting them to start that conversation. And we find that the roommate contract is a great way, not only for roommates to get to know each other, but for roommates to realize in order for this to be a really healthy living environment, we have to be okay to advocate for ourselves and to defer to one another and where we can. And so this year in particular, that roommate contract is extra important to us because we have a section we've designed for roommates to discuss their comfort with COVID and what that means for guests, what that means for cleanliness and hygiene. And we want those students to work through normal life skills of expressing what they need and listening for what other people need in that living environment, in that context. Again, the RA is there to help facilitate if that needs to happen, be a point person in any type of roommate conflict. And our goal, I tell the RAs, is not ever to solve roommate conflict. That's not actually what we believe our role is. Our job is to help students facilitate healthy conversation, to work through that conflict, to mediate the conflict on their behalf, so that they can come to the conclusion and realizing I can do this and I can gain this skill that's important for life. Another piece that is important to know about residence life is we also oversee the conduct process. So your student will sign the lifestyle covenant, I believe they already have. And when they arrive on campus, they'll get the student handbook, which is also available on our website. So if anyone wants some extra reading to make sure they know all the values that CCU has, that's available on our public website. And what we do in residence life is we help communicate those policies, those values, and then we also hold the students accountable to them. And the conduct process is really just another part of our educational pursuit. It's not something where our team and myself or my RAs are out to get people by any means. We're here to hold people to our standards so that we can have the kind of community we think is important, that's Christ-centered, that's honoring, that is welcoming to everyone on the floor. And so when that doesn't happen, we have to step in and hold people accountable for their actions. Now, even in that process, even in that conduct process, if you're meeting with an RD or you're meeting with myself, the posture we want to take and seek to take is, one, we follow a very objective process so that it's very clear, it's outlined in the handbook. But two, that we want to hear from the student. We don't assume we know all the information up front. We don't make judgments based on feeling of how we feel about a particular student. And we want that experience, whether we find a student accountable or not accountable, to be a positive one that helps them grow and think through their decisions and the way that their decisions impact their community. And so that's a big part of what we do in residence life. I see it as an opportunity. I actually love meeting with students, even if it is for something that might be a disciplinary issue where they end up getting we call them steps. I think it's great because I get to be the person that sits across from a student and helps walk them through how the decisions may have impacted people. And I find it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. So in summary, we have a lot going on in Res Life. We've got a lot of people who are excited to meet your student here next week. We play some key roles in terms of emergency response and assisting students on the ground in the residence hall. And if there's ever anything that you need, please don't hesitate to reach out to our office. We're happy to help and serve in any way we can. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll move to Q&A here in just a second. Thanks.
Thank you, Neil, and thank you again, Elisa and Anita. So we'll give it a few minutes to get some questions coming in. Feel free to use that Q&A function. And any that come in, I'll read them, and then the prospective department can go ahead and answer. So just start us off a little bit for Anita. What should my student do if they are exhibiting symptoms of COVID? Anita, you're muted.
To not expose anybody, they can definitely call if they don't know where to go. There's a ton of urgent cares around that test for COVID-19. We actually have a list. And so I could either email them that list to share it with them, but definitely and try to isolate themselves as much as possible. And then, after they get tested, they should share, of course, with, Neil, of course, because then there's a whole protocol with isolation and that kind of stuff. And then us too, so we can follow up how their vitals and stuff are doing, as there's a sheet that they will have to take with their temperature, and if they're having breathing problems, I think an oxygen saturation. And so then they'll be checked either by an RA, I guess, or us, however that goes.
Thank you. This will be for Neil. Neil, what does move-in look like this year?
Move-in looks exciting because people are coming, but we also have to do things a little bit differently. As it stands right now and every day, there's little tweaks. People will be moving in shifts by building. So you'll have all that information. I believe Melissa is on the WOW information that went out. And you come according to that time slot. And I believe there will be some people helping actually assist move-in. We're going to be taking all the safety precautions to do that. You'll get to meet your RA who's on the floor to welcome you. And what we've done even before COVID is actually a drive-through move-in process. So I don't know if you knew that or if that's something new to you. I love it because we've already been essentially contactless move-in and are pros at it. So we're going to get you through the line, get you your keys, your ID, all the stuff you need to get to your building and move in really fast and get settled in. So our whole Res Life team is on site. Actually, tons of staff were on site that day just to welcome you and answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Elisa, we have a question that just came in for you. If a student is coming to campus and receiving accommodations for disability, does the student still need to make the specific request on the website?
So we work totally separately. I mean, we collaborate with the LDC, but we have nothing to do with disability accommodations at all. That is all through the Life Directions Center. We provide individual therapy, group therapy, couples therapy for people seeking personal change. So if your student is local and has a therapist that they're already seeing and have an established relationship with them, I would recommend sticking with their ongoing therapist. My department is staffed with a lot of trainees, and so half of my staff are leaving any given semester and half are coming in new, and they only stay for a total of 2 semesters, which is why we don't recommend people try to engage in long-term psychotherapy care at our department, because we only have myself and the assistant director are long-term employees. Everyone else is kind of rotating through. So if your student has a therapist that they love and have a great relationship with and are doing good work, I would say keep them with the person that they enjoy. We do not actually have a lot of training or experience in working with autism spectrum disorders. We definitely do have students that struggle in that way, but that just isn't a specialty that we currently hold.
Thank you. Just a reminder, we do have a Q&A function. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to use that function. We want to make sure we get all of your questions answered.
I might just chime in there on that last question in terms of accommodations. if you believe there's an accommodation you may need, you can go to the main website and just type in accommodations in that search bar, and it takes you to the LDC page that gives you all the different ones you can apply for. And I work a lot with that person when it impacts potential housing situation or meal plans if there's an allergy issue. And they're great. They just got a new coordinator who that's all that person's going to do is oversee the ADA accommodation process. So you can get that all on the main website.
Thank you. Elisa, how much does it cost for counseling services through CCU?
Yes, so our on-campus services are completely free, which is why students want to be seen by us, which is fabulous. But like I said, we don't have the flexibility to do trauma work or long-term ongoing care. The maximum we tend to offer is a couple of semesters. On occasion, we see students a little bit longer than that. We don't have specific session limits. But we're working on that and trying to figure out how to best serve the students that we have. But right now, our services are free. We do have a policy that if students are no-showing their appointments, if they miss without canceling 2 appointments in a row, then we will give their spot to somebody else who's more committed to therapy. But there's no cancellation fee and there's no session fee.
Perfect. And that is a huge benefit. So definitely have your student take advantage of that.
Yes. But it's also a huge benefit for like the first 170 students that walk through our doors. So it's to be clear, we are absolutely not able to serve 1,400 to 1,500 undergrads. We do our best. My husband's going to handle that. So.
The beauty of Zoom.
It's good to be a mama, just saying.
We have a question that came in. Can a nursing major with scholarships have a job on campus or off? I would definitely recommend talking to the nursing faculty just to get a gauge of the time commitment involved, because that is one of the heavier time commitment majors. There will be a school reception session during WOW. So when your student will go to a session for nursing majors with the faculty. So I would definitely encourage your student to ask that question in there because they'll have the best answer on time commitment. In terms of finding a job, there are a lot of job opportunities both on campus and in the area. If your student is eligible for work study, that opens up a whole other realm of options on campus. So definitely check into that. But as far as figuring out timing with a particular major, definitely I would recommend talking to the faculty in that major.
And the LDC advisor. Rachel is highly involved in knowing what is required, what those time commitments look like. So reach out to Rachel, the LDC advisor for nursing.
Absolutely. Wait. We'll give it a couple other minutes to see if any more questions come through. Oh, yeah, there's another thing that happens with Zoom.
Melissa, I'll throw something out there that I'm thinking about that's unique for Residence Life this year for all of us, is all of the things that we'll be asking of students that Jim McCormick highlighted last week about the agreement, the CC Cougar agreement, the waiver of liability. All that stuff is on the website. And I know students are thinking, okay, so how does this work in my residence hall? How does this apply? Where do I have to wear a mask? When do I have to do that? And every single thing that relates to the way COVID is impacting living on campus, going to class, is on that website. You just go to the main website and type in caring and cautious Cougars. You will get the information. And you'll probably, Melissa, I'm sure, has tons of stuff on there on the WOW and how it's impacting WOW. But go there. The questions it's getting updated all the time. We've got stuff that even from Res Life that we're posting in that FAQ. So just a heads up, I know it's a question we haven't addressed about how that impacts our services. Well, Anita did a little bit,
Yeah.
But it will impact a student's living experience and where they can go and what they have to wear in terms of where they are on campus.
And I can speak to that as well in terms of how COVID is impacting the counseling center. I know when Jim did his town hall last week, one of the questions that came through was, will counseling be in person? And the answer to that was yes. But of course, as with everything right now, it's yes and. So in the spring, we shifted everything online like everybody else did. And for students that are particularly anxious about their health or are immunocompromised or those types of things, we will be offering hybrid services. So some of our sessions will be available online per the student request. We also have purchased air purifiers with UVC and HEPA filters that'll be in every therapy office. We'll adjust our seating to promote that 6-foot distance as best as we can. I also purchased face shields because if any of you have been in therapy, you know that your facial expression is an important part of understanding what's happening for you. So we will have face shields for all of our staff members, and then we will have face shields to loan out, and then we'll disinfect between appointments for our clients so that we can follow the mandate that our faces be covered, but also be able to see those facial expressions that tell us so much. It's really hard if you're tearing up in therapy to be having to deal with a mask, so we'll be doing that with face shields, with air purifiers, of course, hand sanitizer. We do have some thermometers on hand. So we're going to do everything we can in the counseling center to be able to offer in-person services as best as possible, and then also make sure our students are safe.
Thank you. Neil, could you talk a bit about the how a student could become an RA if they're interested?
Yes, yes. RAs, I see the question. There's not a age you can or can't be an RA, but you can't be an RA your first semester or year on campus. So if you're a traditional student coming in, you'd have to wait till your sophomore year to be an RA. And we require that so that we can have people get to know the student culture and what it actually means to be an RA. But you can do that for usually up to 2 years. We've, in rare exceptions, had an RA for 3 years. We're really encouraging them actually to get a diverse leadership experience. And the process is fairly simple. You wait for the announcement of an informational meeting that always happens in December and in January. And the entire process is January and February. So we condense it. It's pretty intense, not in a hard sense, but just in the time sense. And I think our RA process is one everyone, I'm biased, everyone should go through, because whether you're selected as an RA or not, we think the process really helps you learn about you and your leadership style. So the first thing I would say is talk to your current RA, learn what it's really like, see if it's something that you would want to pursue, and amongst all the leadership opportunities we have on campus, and then come to an informational meeting, apply, and see as you go through the process if it's something that really stirs you. And we have got great RAs. I think that's one of the best positions in terms of learning and growing. And so please encourage your student, whether it's RA or not, get involved, get engaged in something on campus. It'll be for their benefit.
We get another minute to see if we have any more questions coming in. And just so everyone knows, this session is being recorded and it will be on the CCU Campus Activities YouTube page. So if there's anything that you would like to go back and watch later, you can do that. If you've missed or will be missing any of our other sessions, you can find those on the CCU Campus Activities YouTube page as well. And we will be posting the links to those, the exact links, on ccu.edu/wow. Sorry, I'm reading a question that just came in. It looks like this may be more of an individualized question. So Elisa, would you mind providing your email address?
Yes, it is ashanks@ccu.edu. And certainly, so the feedback has to do with shifting in those roles from into that consultant role. But also, I wouldn't recommend moving into the consultant role before your child is away at college. So this is a transition as they come into college, that you're moving into more of that consultant space. And of course, if you have a student who struggles with certain interpersonal styles or mental health concerns, your student may need a little more hand-holding or a little more direction direction from you in ways that other students that don't have those same needs may not. So it's not an overarching prescription, but it is a recognition that as parents, you guys are moving eventually, as you move through college, into that adult to adult connected space instead of into that parent-child space that you've been in since they were born. So it is appropriate to move through these stages of parenting as you move through college, but it's not a movement that you need to make instantly. It's just something that you'll do as you guys continue to grow. And I've worked in university mental health for years upon years, and when we see students that are then going to move home for summer, I remind the students to have grace with mom and dad, because they last interacted with you in their home when you were a senior in high school. And so sometimes it's easy for moms and dads to slip into that parent-child role even after you've been away at college for an entire year. So it's something we want to have grace with people and give them space on their journey. It's not a prescription for how you must parent. It's going to be a process of moving into that adult to adult space for sure.
I just got a text from Melissa Stringfellow. Her internet has gone out or, interrupted. And so she asked if I would close out our session. To answer the last question, all of the town halls specifically, I know that for sure, are on the CCU Cares page that covers all the things COVID. There's the town hall videos there. And then Melissa Stringfellow, she's back. I was just closing us out, Melissa. Where can everyone find these recorded sessions that we're doing for parents? And then we're ready to wrap up.
Yeah, definitely. So if you go on YouTube, search CCU Campus Activities, they'll all be posted on there. Give us a day or two to get them up. And then if you go to ccu.edu/wow, the direct links will also be there. So tune in for the rest of it. We have a few more nights. Again, if you go to ccu.edu/wow, click schedule on the right-hand side, you can see the full schedule of which departments will be presenting on which night. Tomorrow night will be Campus Activities and Leadership, which is actually my department, and Campus Ministries. So that's a great way to find out about how your student can get involved on campus, and then of course the different discipleship and ministry options as well. So definitely check those out. If you have any questions, I put the email addresses for our panelists in the chat, or you can also find all their information online. So thank you so much for joining us. Neil, thanks for taking over when my internet decided to be annoying. Elisa, did you have something?
I just see one more question that says, is it possible to be both a student athlete and an RA? Neil?
No, it's not really. I mean, in desire, it's possible, but we've done it and it's just not successful. The athletes require so much time. So that's the one category, unfortunately. But there are leadership opportunities within athletics, and I would highly encourage that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. Well,
Perfect.
thank you.
Thank you so much. We will see you all tomorrow night. Thank you to our panelists, and have a great night.
Good night.